Good morning, wrestling fans. Welcome to PWR today, Thursday morning, July 29th, 2021. The man they call Meathead, Matthew Thomas. Matthew, I heard you were having a man on the street type of interview right before we go on the air. So I hope the man on the street is doing okay. I hope you're doing okay. How are you doing this morning, Matthew?
Well, as an investigative journalist, sometimes you have to just branch out and get the opinion, get the pulse, if you will, of people around you. And that's exactly what I did to that man you heard just a little while ago. I got his pulse.
Yeah, unfortunately, you probably took his pulse in the wrong way, and he didn't appreciate that. But let's talk about our sponsor for this morning.
There's like 7 different pulses on the body. So when you go to get somebody's pulse, you've got like a variety of options. Not everybody knows that, but I'll tell you who does know that are the fine folks over at collarandelbowbrand.com. You got to be smart to build clothing as comfortable as that you can get Collar and Elbow Brand. And if you want smart, comfortable clothing, head on over to collarandelbowbrand.com and browse everything. They've got so much stuff to pick from. It's going to take you a long time to sort through probably all the hundreds of products that you want. But when you do and you get to that checkout, what you can do, you can get on your little keyboard, or if you've got a thing that you can talk into, like the voice to text, you can voice to text Linda K, and that's going to save you 10%. And then you tell your phone, you say LINDAKAY, and that gives you 10% off.
Allegedly. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, I fell asleep during your whole promo there. I'm glad that you're back. All right, so collarandelbowbrand.com.
And the money you save from the 10%, the money you save, you can give to the man on the street.
Well, I mean, if a man's literally living on the street, maybe he needs that 10%. Who knows? We are going to go right into Dynamite action from last night. A lot of things happening. We've got the second labor of Jericho. He's going to have his match with the Deathmatch King, Nick Gage. We also have a 10-man tag that's going to kick off the show between the Dark Order with Hangman Adam Page and the Elite Squad, the starting lineup with the Space Jam tie-in. And here we go, 10-man elimination. All right, so if Page and the Dark Order win, they get title shots. Adam Page and Dark Order against, and the Dark Order was Alex Reynolds, Evil Uno, Stu Grayson, and the returning Johnny Hungy, Johnny Silver, with 10, and then Colt Cabana, and then the Elite, Doc Gallows, Carl Anderson, Kenny Omega, Matt and Nick Jackson, Don Callis wearing shorts on commentary, Brandon Cutler and Michael Nakazawa around the ring. This was an elimination-style match. Your thoughts on the entrance video for the Dark Order and Hangman, and your thoughts on the Space Jam tie-in entrance by the Elite.
The video for Dark Order and Hangman was the best.
Find a better spot.
10-man tag entrance I've ever seen.
Yeah. Okay.
And the Space Jam tie-in, I can't take the Elite seriously anymore.
Yeah. I didn't hate it. I just didn't like it or love it or even want it. But I understand it. That's really it. I understand it. It was a corny tie-in, promotional tie-in. It's not as bad as Ricky and Mort tie-in, but Turner Broadcasting, Warner Brothers, Space Jam. I understand it. All right. So they did it. Ha ha. Yeah, great. And let's move on. This was an elimination match, and really what you got here was a lot of great action back and forth. At the end of the day, you knew it had to be pared down to Hangman and Page being the last one, and it was going to be 3-on-1. So it was the real Elite, the Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, Nick Jackson, Matt Jackson, and a couple of super kick parties, BTE triggers, and a one-winged angel. What AEW has done with Kenny Omega and his finisher, protecting it, is amazing. So that way, if Adam Page does get that title shot and he gets put in the one-winged angel, I need to see him kick out of it for that match that night. But last night, it didn't happen. You're winner of the match. No title shot for the Dark Order. No title shot for Kenny Omega. It's the Elite.
Yeah, and not enough finishers are protected now. I mean, professional wrestling
Kenny's
over
is
the last
protected.
decade.
Absolutely
Yeah,
protected.
yeah, and maybe the single one in the business that actually is.
Yeah. So your thoughts on the finish?
Yeah, it wasn't necessarily what I think it's the right move for right now. I mean, we're going to get Gage and Hangman up the road, but this was what it needed to be for last night.
Okay. Backstage with Pac, excuse me. The Lucha Brothers are in Charlotte, but they are stuck at the airport. I forgot, with all the stuff going on, Chavito showed up on Dynamite last week, and he's with Andrade El Idolo, and they are going to take care of a limo. Now, he had to Chavito explain or mansplain what a limo was to Pac, so I found that kind of funny, which led us right into the FTW World Championship celebration. What was the reason for Taz up in the Ricky Rackman spot from Nitro?
I think just that visual that we got, and I mean, who wouldn't want to see Taz up in the crow's
Taz
nest,
on the
so
ones and twos.
Yeah, and that was.
Speaking of,
I like that.
Speaking of ones and twos, I forgot to mention this to you. Do you know why I'm not as upset about that entrance from the Elite as you are? Possibly.
What?
They played the
Because
song
yeah.
I used to come into as a DJ back in the mid '90s. Y'all ready
exactly
for this?
Why you're not upset about it.
That's right. That was Jock Jams Volume 1, son, with Michael Buffer. Let's get ready to rumble. That brought back the days right there.
And so now we know the reason that introduction was received so warmly by the man they call Meathead.
I wouldn't say warmly. I would say that I popped for the music because, whenever I heard it played anywhere else, I'd always yell out they were biting my shit. Like no one else owned Jock Jams Volume 1. So.
No, and but at least you know what? At least you got a kick out of it, and that's what they were going. That's what they were going for.
Yeah, the entire booking was booked on how would I react.
Yeah, and I mean, you really can see that, by the conclusion of the show.
Well, let's react to the second match, which was a tag team match with FTR. A lot of tag action. Cash Wheeler, Dax Harwood with Tully, Santana Ortiz with Conan. It's the first time they're ever meeting. And, with the way they've interacted for how many weeks, I did not realize that this is the first time they've had a match. I saw something go on with Cash Wheeler. I don't know if he cut himself on the turnbuckle or he cut himself on a ring post, but you could see it happen. You can see him look down. You can see him freak out. He got down, literally walked over to the other corner, and for the rest of the match, he was in the corner being attended to by the ringside physicians. Winners of the match, FTR.
Yeah, or he could have been making him some pizza before the match and cut himself with a pizza cutter. Because
no. Pizza cutter. We got to protect the pizza cutter spot.
Oh, well. You do? Yeah, that's true. You want to protect that pizza cutter.
Let's talk about protecting Britt Baker, DMD, and Tony Schiavone interviewing her backstage along with Reba. You know what? Britt Baker says she beat Nyla Rose with a broken freaking wrist last week. So, yeah, she's breaking bones, and she still got her to tap out even broken. So they're going to have to bring in somebody to protect her and Rebels back.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing where it goes. They're kind of worse for wear right now, and that's not what you want with your AEW champion. So I'm planting the seeds for something, it looks like.
Now, it was announced that Tony Khan would have this big announcement for a show, and it was given to Tony Schiavone. The first dance will take place Friday, August 20th in Chicago, Illinois, and this is the big deal. They're at the United Center. You know what the capacity is for the United Center for wrestling?
That's a big building.
That's a big building. And I thought that they already had Dynamite and Rampage for the next week and All In already booked. They added Rampage the previous Friday in. So they're going to be there over a week and a half.
Yeah, and that was actually the site of SummerSlam 94, if you recall correctly.
And that's ironic because SummerSlam back then, they did run in the new buildings. It became a thing where the Rosemont Horizon was strictly a WWF/E building. The United Center was a WCW building. I cannot tell you how many different shows I watched from WCW there. I seen Nitros. I saw Spring Stampede 2000 in the United Center as well. That was, if you remember, the New Blood debuted the previous Monday when they just took all the belts off of everybody and they restarted the show. That was the Spring Stampede that came up that following Sunday.
Yeah, definitely a lot of wrestling history in that building, and it sounds like there might be some additional in August a little later this year.
Right, August 20th. So here's the thing, and it makes perfect sense because August, I think it is August 11th is when they're running Milwaukee for Dynamite. But we talk Chicago. Alex Marvez is backstage with Darby Allin and Sting. Allin says he has fought a lot of men and he will fight anyone else. He's heard a lot of people say that they're the greatest of all time. He'll fight anybody, even if they think they're the best in the world. Uh-oh. Matthew Thomas, we do not talk about rumors, and we do not say rumors are fact. But they're dropping seeds. They're dropping bombs. This is in reference to one crazy mariachi. Your thoughts?
Yeah, and at this juncture, when you've got a building announced, when you've got a show, when it's in Chicago, you're going into bait and switch territory now if you don't deliver that on 8/20.
Yep.
And
well, not just 8/20, or just in the week and a half that they're in Chicago.
Yeah. And I think you're this might be as close to a confirmation as you're going to get before it happens.
Holy smokes. It's going to happen. Holy smokes. You know, it's not to go off topic here out of wrestling, but, you know, I don't like speculating, right? So we had speculated for 6 months what Aaron Rodgers had meant when he said he didn't want to play for the Packers anymore. Yesterday, we had the press conference with Aaron, a good 15-minute conversation, and he finally said, look, I'm going to play this year. I want to play here. This is why I did it. This is why I didn't do it. I only take the word out of the mouths of babes, right? When they say specifically what it is, I will take their word for it. While we have not heard from CM Punk, Phil Brooks, this is as close as it's going to get.
Wait, hey, I zoned out for a minute. Did you say Aaron Rodgers is going to wrestle CM Punk?
Yes. Matter of fact, he's going to have Jimmy Hart go on Mancow Radio and promote it.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Let's talk about the IWGP United States Heavyweight Championship match. Lance Archer taking on Hakulio with King Haku. Yes, I can't pronounce his name, so that's as close as I got. His father took him to the ring. The winner of the match and still champion Lance Archer, and it's revealed that he will be traveling to New Japan Pro Wrestling to defend the title against Hiroshi Tanahashi. So AEW traveling over to New Japan. That forbidden door is still open.
Yeah, and hey, at least you didn't call him Mansoor, right?
I struggle with that name, and I will struggle Mansoors. And it's not even like Mansoor singular. For some reason, I feel like I'm Ray's older brother talking about the Jimmy's Johns, where I pluralize everything.
Yeah, but no, hey, I'm glad we got to see Archer this week in a little bit more of a traditional match. And yeah, I think he's a good guy to hold that title, and I like seeing him holding the title right now.
Alex Marvez is about to interview Cody Rhodes in the go position, but he is attacked by Malachi. He is attacked by Malachi Black. They go back and forth, and it looks like that match is happening next week at AEW Homecoming back in Jacksonville.
Yeah, and I think that's the best program AEW's got going right now.
They got a lot of good programs going. Miro's promo is fine, but he will be wrestling Lee Johnson next week for the TNT Championship. Miro still looks good. More tags, this time in a trios sense. It's going to be Christian Cage and Jurassic Express, Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus with Marco Stunt. Taking on the Hardy Family Office and Helico, Isaiah Cassidy and Mark Quinn with Matt Hardy. Big win for Christian Cage and Jurassic Express. You know, Cage is outside high-fiving the crowd, and he just gets blindsided by an unknown until the hood comes off, and it's the Blade with the brass knucks. So, nice little program coming up next with the Blade and Cage.
Yeah, and the more I've seen of the Blade recently with Orange Cassidy, the more I enjoy watching this guy work as a singles competitor. I think they've really got something there, and I like the fact that they're featuring him. And, I mean, this is – This is prime use for Christian Cage. I mean, use him with somebody like the Blade that you haven't seen a lot of and get the guy over.
The guy, he's over for me. You know, ironically, I think I sent you a message, which was right before Impact. I caught Bound for Glory 2017. Do you know how many people I saw on that show that are either in AEW or up in WWE right now? The Bunny was on there. Bunny was a huge over face in Impact at that point.
And you actually said you got to see a match with Bobby Lashley wrestling a mouse, which I think is outstanding. Because the smart money would be on Bobby Lashley, but those mice are quick. Mice are quick and
Moose. But that makes me remember, thank God that I saw that, because remember when we saw a top team leader come out on AEW? That's where I seen him. He was on, Bobby Lashley was on top team. Remember?
Fantastic.
They had King Mo as well.
My goodness, the amount of talent that has been in Impact throughout the years, man. I mean, that's
and we'll talk about it more tomorrow. Kevin Nash's feelings also as well of all the talent they had in Impact.
Outstanding. I look forward to running that down with you.
Julia Hart taking on the now all elite wrestler Thunder Rosa. Thunder Rosa, her face split seems to be going back and forth, sometimes on the left, sometimes on the right. I am very excited about her. They need to make her strong to go up against Britt Baker. I don't know if that means for all out or all in, but they need to build her up, because she currently, and we didn't go over the rankings today, but she currently is the #1 contender at 20-2 in AEW.
Yeah. And she's somebody that has shown she can hold her own with Britt Baker. You know, those two delivered the best women's match, in my opinion, in that company's history. And the story's already there.
A match I had no interest in. The main event, Chris Jericho, Nick Gage. I've made it very clear on this very program, on any programs really, in the 20-plus years I've been doing something with the Pro Wrestling Report. I don't particularly like deathmatch type hardcore matches. I don't need to see blood just to get in a reaction. Blood has its place. I'm an old school wrestling fan when it comes to something like that, but a competitor such as Nick Gage is only for that. Yeah, he might be able to wrestle. He might be able to do a catch as catch can, but that's not where he makes his money, and he knows it, and he understands it. He wrestles, and I say the word wrestling loosely. He competes for the shock value, and it's not for me. However, it's labor number 2 of the 5 labors of Jericho, and there's no rules in this match. So, pizza cutters be damned, Matthew Thomas. That's a callback there. Nick Gage against the pain maker, Chris Jericho. What did you think of before going into this match? Where were you at with it?
I was not looking forward to it at all, and I honestly had hoped they would pull more punches than they actually did. You are on TNT, you are during technical, prime time on the East, and in Mountain Time, and what time is it on the West Coast? Yada yada yada. I think about the people that are like, the gym that's playing TNT in the background, and somebody walking on the treadmill running across this. They've got a pretty solid deal with TNT, because I can't really imagine there's many notable cable channels that would want this on their programming. Like this, I was disgusted by this, and I was also, what I think upset me more about this than anything is watching a team the likes of Jim Ross and Tony Schiavone calling such a match.
Jim Ross was very clear in his disgust in this match. You could hear it. It was very deeply laced in sarcasm, but you could hear Jim Ross did not want to call this match. Schiavone had to sell it. Schiavone sold it, but Ross couldn't stand it.
Yeah. And it's just, and I think the thing of it too, like we've talked about in the build up to this, it's not accentuating the story that's being told. It's actually in a match, unfortunately, that is it's a preordained conclusion. The labors of Jericho, it's going to be 5 matches to get him to MJF. This is not even in a match where I've got my sense of disbelief suspended, because the outcome, just like the outcome next week. Not saying that takes away from the story, but when you risk life and limb like both of these guys are doing, here's the thing. Selling that a guy died for 8 minutes while he had to be med flighted out of a wrestling ring. At that point, what are we doing? What's anybody doing involved in something like this.
Even if this match was necessary in this run, it should have been match 4 of 5 or 5 of 5 or whatever it is, the final to get the MGF. It was number 2. Now, we know who's going to be next week's, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to have some fun with it. I want to see Chris Jericho take on Hoovy Juice, Juventud Guerrero.
And that seems like good entertainment that I don't feel bad about watching. I felt bad about tuning into what I tuned into last night.
Yeah, I was not a fan. So next week, it'll be Homecoming. They're going back to Jacksonville. They're selling seats and hoping for a solid crowd in Jacksonville. I think they'll get it. Real quick, the rankings as of yesterday as well. Number 1 contender still Adam Page at 11-1. Number 1 contender in the women's division, Thunder Rosa. She's 21-2. And the number 1 tag team is the Varsity Blondes at 16-4. So, Matthew Thomas, we are going to wrap here. Coming up tomorrow, a special edition of PWR Today. We're going to break down the conversation between Stone Cold Steve Austin and Kevin Nash. A little preview here real quick. You probably didn't know this until you watched this, or you listeners that didn't know this. Kevin Nash and Stone Cold used to be the best of friends. They were driving partners. I mean, literally, Kevin was the driver for almost all of his time in WCW before he went to WWF.
No idea. I would imagine their paths crossed at some juncture, but I had no idea they went as far back as they did.
That they were as close as they were. Yeah. So we're going to talk more about it tomorrow. So for Matthew Thomas on the Man They Call Meathead, hey, thanks for stopping by.